In the heart of the wild, where survival is written in claws and fangs, a scene unfolded that no one could have imagined. A peaceful dove, symbol of innocence, fluttered straight into the battlefield of predators. The air was heavy with tension as a leopard crouched low, muscles coiled like a spring, eyes locked on a lion standing tall, mane bristling in dominance. Dust rose in the heat of the savannah, the silence sharp enough to cut until the sudden flap of white wings broke the moment. The dove, fragile and unarmed, soared directly into the clash of kings. Imagine it, the lion's roar, thundering like rolling storms. The leopard's snarl tearing through the air. Both predators locked in deadly focus, yet, in their war zone, a bird of peace dared to pass through. Every second felt eternal, every wingbeat a gamble against death. The audience of the wild zebras, gazelles, vultures, circling above paused as if the earth itself held its breath. Would the bird vanish in claws of fury, or escape with its message of survival? The leopard leaped, claws slicing the air, aiming at its rival. But in that exact heartbeat, the dove's shadow crossed their battlefield. A mane whipped, a paw slammed the ground, and for a brief flicker of time, predator and predator both hesitated. The impossible had happened. A fragile life had entered their storm of violence and made two killers pause. The leopard snarled, a sound that could curdle the milk of kindness. Yet it was lost in the thunder of the lion's reply. For a full heartbeat, the king of the plains simply stared, his amber gaze boring into the dove, disbelief rippling through his powerful frame. The dove, however, seemed oblivious to the storm it had just flown into. It tilted its head, cooing softly as if inviting the beasts to share its tranquility. This was not just a scene of danger, it was a lesson carved in the oldest language of nature. Strength rules, but courage sometimes wears the softest wings. The leopard, sleek and lethal, was the epitome of raw power. Its every muscle fiber tuned for explosive bursts of speed, for leaping, pouncing, striking with surgical precision. Its eyes, golden pools of unwavering focus, had seen countless hunts, countless victories. It was a master of its domain. But today, that domain was being challenged. The lion, a living embodiment of the sun's fiery mane, stood firm, paws planted wide, a colossus ready to rumble the earth. His roar wasn't just a sound, it was a declaration, a battle cry that shook the very foundations of their world. He wasn't just any lion, he was the king, and his turf was non-negotiable. Yet here they were, locked in an ancient duel of dominance, a clash of wills beneath the unforgiving sun. The air crackled with the electricity of their antagonism. Each twitch of a muscle, each flash of a tooth was loaded with the promise of violence. They circled each other, predators assessing prey, sizing up the kill. Their postures were rigid, their eyes narrowed slits of predatory focus. And then, as if an invisible hand had pressed the pause button on life itself, the dove appeared. It wasn't big, nor was it particularly swift. It had no shield, no armor, only a fluttering heart encased in fragile feathers. Yet it chose to thread its way through the violence, to dance on the edge of danger. With each beat of its wings, it defied the odds, the very laws of nature that dictated that it should be extinct before it ever saw this day. Its coo was a tiny chime in the orchestra of growls and hisses, its white form a stark contrast to the dark drama unfolding beneath the unforgiving sun. As the dove flew over the heads of the two beasts, its shadow flickered across their muscled forms, momentarily interrupting the deadly ballet of dominance. It was an absurd intrusion, comical if there ever was a time for levity in such a tense standoff. The dove's arrival broke the spell. The leopard's eyes, which had been boring into the lion, flickered upwards, surprise rippling through its lithe frame. The lion, too, couldn't help but follow the dove's trajectory with his gaze. For a moment, their rivalry was forgotten, their animosity put on hold. In the grand scheme of things, the dove was just a small, insignificant speck, a feathered mote dancing in the vast expanse of their world. Yet it was this very insignificance that gave it the freedom to intrude, to break the tension with its innocent presence. The leopard, ever the pragmatist, was the first to shake off the distraction. Its gaze, sharp as a tack, returned to the lion, its muscles coiling in preparation for a renewed attack. The lion, however, remained unmoved, his eyes still fixed on the dove. As it disappeared into the vast expanse of the sky, it was as if the sight of such untroubled peace had touched a chord within him, stirring emotions long forgotten in the harsh realities of his existence. The leopard let out a frustrated snarl, the sound echoing the turmoil in its chest. It wanted to strike, to reassert its dominance, but something held it back. Perhaps it was the sheer audacity of the dove's intrusion, or maybe it was the unexpected stillness that had fallen over the battlefield. Whatever the reason, it hesitated, and in that hesitation, the balance of power shifted. The dove, unaware of the turmoil it had caused, soared higher into the azure expanse. As it climbed, the sounds of the savannah grew fainter, replaced by the wind, whispering tales of distant lands. From its vantage point, the world looked different, more tranquil, more serene. Below it, the leopard and the lion were mere specks, their earlier ferocity lost in the vast panorama of the plains. The dove had escaped the immediate danger, but its journey was far from over. The skies, while offering freedom, were also full of perils, from hungry falcons to treacherous storms. Yet the dove persisted, its wings beating a steady rhythm against the wind. It was a testament to the tenacity of life, a symbol of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. As the dove flew, the jungle watched, not with the eyes of predators, but with the wonder of those who had witnessed something extraordinary. The zebras and gazelles, who had frozen in place during the standoff, began to stir. The vultures, too, wheeled in the sky, their harsh cries replaced by quiet murmurs. They had all seen the leopard at its most lethal, the lion in the throes of territorial fury, but they had never seen anything quite like the dove's audacious dance between the jaws of death. The news of the dove's intrusion spread like wildfire through the jungle grapevine. Soon, every creature that had paused to watch the standoff was buzzing with excitement. The dove, with its simple act of defiance, had become a local hero, a symbol of courage in a world that often seemed to value only strength. Hours turned into days, and the memory of the dove's flight began to fade. The leopard moved on, his hunting grounds beckoning, his hunger driving him forward. The lion, too, eventually shook off the dais that had held him after the dove's visit, returning to his duties as king. Yet something had shifted in their world. The dove had planted a seed of doubt, a tiny crack in their armor of aggression. It had shown them, however briefly, that there was more to life than the endless pursuit of dominance. And so the story of the dove that flew into the war zone of leopards and lions became a legend of the savannah, a tale told around watering holes and under the shade of acacia trees. It was a story that reminded the inhabitants of the jungle that sometimes the smallest and weakest creatures can teach the mightiest beasts valuable lessons. For us watching, this is more than survival. It is a reminder of fragile defiance. Even in worlds ruled by power, innocence can cut through chaos and live. The dove did not fight, did not flee blindly, but trusted its path and emerged untouched. How often do we, in our own battles, underestimate the strength of quiet persistence? The jungle roars, but sometimes peace finds a way to fly straight through. The clash of lions and leopards will always continue, their thirst for dominance endless. But the story of the dove reminds us that bravery isn't always about fighting harder. It can be about flying with conviction, even when the sky is filled with death. And that is what makes this encounter unforgettable, a story etched into the memory of the wild. At the end of this powerful tale, if you found yourself holding your breath the way the jungle did, remember there are countless hidden stories like this waiting to be uncovered. Subscribe, like, and comment to my channel, Jungle Echoes Rescue and Mystery, and join me as we bring more untold survival sagas of the wild straight to you.